The hedgerows of Normandy don't look like a battlefield at first. They look like a maze someone planted 100 years ago. Walls of green, 8 feet tall. Lanes just wide enough for a cart. Turned so tight, you can hear a tank you can't see. On the morning of July 26th, 1944, Staff Sergeant Frank Novak stood beside his M4 Sherman and did a kind of math no school had ever taught him. A German Tiger could punch through an American tank from a mile away. His 75mm gun needed a clean side angle and 300 yards, 3 football fields just to have a chance. The manual said, "Advance by the numbers." But Frank had helped build these tanks in Detroit. He knew numbers could lie if you asked them the wrong question. He folded the letter to his wife, Rose, slid it into his pocket, and watched his crew go through their quiet morning ritual. Wiping the gun breech, counting shells. A hymn hummed under someone's breath. And somewhere across the hedge, a tiger turned its turret. That sound changed everything. This is the story of how one sergeant, one idea, and 3 Shermans changed the geometry of a fight that was never supposed to be fair. This is Forgotten Fronts. 2 days earlier, in a briefing tent that smelled like diesel and rain, a captain pointed at a diagram with a wooden stick. On one side, the American M4 Sherman. On the other, the German Tiger. Side by side like a quiz with only one right answer. Facts, not feelings. The Sherman's 75mm gun could pierce 68mm of armor at 500 yards. The Tiger's front plate was 100mm thick and better steel. Its 88mm cannon could kill a Sherman from 2,000 yards away. Doctrine said, advance in line, lay smoke, concentrate fire. But doctrine hadn't met this field, this mud, this tiger, this angle of sky. The tiger they were facing had a name over Allied radios. Iron Ghost, commanded by Oberleutnant Karl Brandt. 47 tank kills since Tunisia. He treated gunnery tables the way a pianist treats a score. Not rules, music. Frank didn't hate the man, he hated the math. When the first Sherman in column turned the corner at 0822, everyone learned what that math really meant. A single crack split the morning. Not like artillery. Sharper, faster. A steel sound that punched straight through the first Sherman's armor plate. The tank vanished in fire. The second Sherman lasted 10 seconds longer. Another crack. The turret lifted clean off the ring. 3 men gone before the sound faded. Frank shouted for reverse. The engine screamed. They backed into a sunken lane, blind through smoke and hedge. You can't shoot what you can't see. 1,000 yards away, the Iron Ghost sat hull down, just its turret showing through leaves. Brandt peered through Zeiss optics that made the world 10 times closer. He counted seconds, counted shells, counted breath. German engineering plus good ground equals advantage. Advantage until it runs out. Frank pressed his back to the turret wall. The loader's breathing steadied. They'd figure it out. They always did. That night, The rain tapped the tent in a rhythm that sounded like thinking. Frank opened a notebook and drew lines. Not tanks, angles, arcs of fire, distances. How long it took a 56-ton turret to make a full turn in mud. The Tiger's strength was simple, frontally invincible at range. So he erased frontally from the problem. 3 Shermans, 3 directions, timed like a metronome. 1 throws smoke, 2 flank fast. A turret can only face one direction at once. Steel can be perfect and still be late. He called it the 3-point. Not a charge, a geometry problem. At 0300, he brought the notebook to his captain. The man looked up from casualty reports. Frank said, "Sir, doctrine's killing us. Let's change the math." The captain studied him for a long moment and then nodded. "You get one chance." Before dawn, 3 crews crowded around a crate and a flashlight. Frank laid the sketch between grease-blackened hands. Front tank pins with smoke at 200 yards. The rest hit from both sides. If you're early, you die alone. If you're late, someone else dies for you. Sync watches, 30-second radio checks. Angles, not heroics. Lieutenant David Chen traced the routes. Timing's tight. Miguel Rodriguez folded a letter to his 4 daughters and tucked it in his pocket. Tight is better than stupid. The loader Jamie sketched 3 arrows and a square. "A triangle beats a square," he said. No one argued. Across the hedgerow, Karl Brandt was awake too. Half a tank of fuel. 24 rounds left. The Americans were learning it and he could feel it. "They're getting smarter," he told his gunner. "That makes them dangerous." At exactly 0600, Rodriguez rolled forward. White phosphorus hissed into the tree line. Smoke bloomed. The Tiger's 88th thundered through it, firing blind. Rodriguez's voice over the radio stayed steady. "Missed by 15 feet. Continuing advance. 45 seconds to position." Frank gripped the turret rail. "Hold speed. Gunner ready." "Ready, Sarge." 0604. The Sherman burst through a hedge gap, perfect side angles, 600 yards. "On!" The 75 fired. The round screamed through the fog. Slammed the Tiger's side hull. Sparks smoke. Still moving. The Tiger's turret swung toward them, slow, heavy, like a god turning its head. Then another flash from the opposite hedge. Chen's Sherman, 500 yards, right into the turret ring. The Tiger's gun froze mid-rotation. Jam? Frank didn't wait. 3 Shermans fired in 15 seconds. 9 rounds. 1 hit the engine deck. Fire found fuel. Black smoke twisted into a clean blue sky. Hands rose through hatches. The Iron Ghost died in the same silence it had always worked inside. The radio crackled. Tiger contact, Grid Quebec 7-4. Rawhide 6 destroyed. 7 damaged. Immediate support. Frank stared at the handset. 2 miles east. More crews dying. He looked at the fuel gauge. Half a tank left. then at the German officer standing by his burning machine. "How many tigers?" "2, maybe 3. Brandt's English was rough but steady. "If you go by the book, you will feed them one at a time. You're coming with us. You're arresting me. I'm asking you to help me keep men alive." Brandt's jaw set. "I studied engineering to build bridges, then build one across this gun barrel." He held out his wrists. "I will speak. Not to betray Germany, to betray stupidity." They raced toward Quebec 7-4. Radios screamed, engines hammered, fields burned black. Brandt leaned over the map. "If I were your enemy, I'd be here." Hull down. Overlapping lanes. 30 seconds to turn the turret, 60 if the motor fails. Your window is heartbeats. Frank threw smoke and charged. Chen and Rawhide 7 flanked wide. The Tiger fired blind through phosphorus. Rawhide 7 found the rear armor at 500 yards. 3 quick shots. Engine kill. Another monster gone. A British Firefly rolled up just as the smoke cleared. 17-pounder gun, long and thin like a promise. The commander grinned. "Lovely trick, Yanks. Next week you won't need it. This one'll punch him from 1,000. Brandt nodded. "What is clever becomes common. That is how wars move." They led him away. He turned back once. "Detroit, yes?" Frank nodded. "I was Henschel Cassell," Brandt said. Then, softer, "Maybe next time we build something else." They shook hands. 2 engineers who'd both built monsters and just tried to unbuild them. A month later, the U.S. Army quietly wrote the 3-point into doctrine. The British shipped Fireflies by the hundreds. Tigers stopped being legends and started being targets. In November, Frank got a letter. Red Cross stamp. Karl Brandt was alive in a camp in England, teaching Allied officers how tigers worked and how to kill fewer men, learning the hard way. That night, Frank wrote to Rose, "Today I learned that wars aren't won by thicker steel, but by better questions. Sometimes the person who helps you ask them wore a different uniform yesterday." He folded the page, sealed it slow, and sat for a while before sending it home. Years later, his grandson asked, "Was the Tiger the best tank in the war?" Frank smiled. "The Tiger was the best at being a tiger," he said. "But that's not the whole question." "What's the whole question?" "How do you turn someone else's strength into their problem?" The boy nodded. "Didn't write it down, didn't have to. You can memorize every number, armor thickness, range, rate of fire. But on the day it matters, your loader's hand will shake, your driver's foot will slip, and the fog will blind your best sight. That's when you remember. Speed and timing are ammo too. Smoke is not a prayer, it's a tool. Distance is a tyrant until you change the geometry. Doctrine is a map for yesterday's terrain. And the right question asked in the right second can save everyone. This wasn't a story about a miracle shot. It was about 3 tanks, a pencil sketch, and the courage to break the math. The right triangle beating the wrong line. This is forgotten fronts,